Hi, welcome to my stat class. So today we are going to talk about Introduction to Statistic. So first of all, what is statistic? So statistic is an area of mathematics. It's the science of connecting, organizing, summarizing, and drawing conclusion from data. So it helps us to make educated guesses of unknown and to find the useful information in an ocean of data. So for example, you may want to keep track of your favorite teams, your favorite basketball teams, wins and losses, right? And then also you can perhaps use the data and try to predict the outcome of an election. We can see the application in statistics everywhere in our daily life. So I believe that you will like this topic, you will like this subject. So what is data? So data is all the connection of numbers, characteristics, images, or other items that provide information. For example, when we try to connect how old is the student in our class, right? So some of them may be 18, some of them still in high school running STAR program, or some of them work a couple years and come back to the school. They will say, hey, I'm 13 or 14 too. Some of them, they retire, they want to continue study, so they may probably 63. All of these numbers represent one of the data points to the variable age. So we will talk about what's variable later. And then it could be characters in words such as, hey, where are you from? We're trying to connect the data of the students, where do they from which country. So such as me, I'm from China, USA, or Germany, Australia. So these words are considered data as well. So what does an image data look like? Well, when we're looking at the weather forecast, we will see an image of sun. Then we know that, hey, this is going to be a sunny day. We see a cloud. We know that it's going to be cloudy or a rainy day. So data can be in different forms. So there are two types of data: population data and the sample data. So what is population data? Population data is all of the data, all of them, everything of them. So such as it's the entire group that you want to draw the conclusion about. For example, we're trying to predict the GDP in next year, or trying to find out what's the GDP in every country this year. So when trying to find out all of the countries in the world and try to find out their published data, which is some countries, they might not want to disclose their GDP data to the public. So which means population data is really nice, it's going to be really accurate, but it's not realistic. What about sample data? Sample data is a portion of a population data. It's part of it. So a sample data is a specific group that you can connect data from. So let's use the same example. We're trying to find out the average GDP of the world. So instead of trying to find GDP from every country, we can only interview certain country with the published data on GDP last year. So these are more realistic if they have published data. But maybe not as accurate as population data. So here, for example, draw a picture, represent the concept of sample and population data, and show the example for connecting the average height of SPSCC students. Okay, so remember what's population data? Population data is all of the data, the entire group that we are trying to connect. We're trying to draw the conclusion about. So the entire group means we need to interview all of the SPSCC students of their heights, all of them. So maybe we'll get the result of, hey, the average height of the SPSCC student is 5'7" high. And then for sample data, that means I'm going to use a different color of pen. We are trying to draw a specific group that you connect data from. For example, I'm trying to ask the student who's in the basketball team. This could be a sample. Maybe it's not a good one because it's not representative, right? It's not randomized enough. So maybe the result come back to us turns out to be, hey, the average height of student is 5'9" tall, which we know that is not accurate, right? Because if we just draw the data from the student who are in basketball teams, since they're athletic, they tend to be higher than other students. So that's a really important concept about the sample has to be random. That means when you're trying to connect your sample data, you don't want to just interview the student who's in athletic team. You want to interview students from different group, such as, hey, student who's taking Math 146, or student who's taking Econ 101, or I also want to interview some student taking art, visual art 215, right? You try to get data from every random student, not every, like some random student. We want our sample population to be random. So that's really important if you're trying to get accurate results. Okay, so there's two types of statistic. One is called descriptive statistic. So a descriptive statistic is analyzing the numerical value that describe and the summarized data. So that means you're trying to summarize the data from a group that you choose. So this process allows you to understand the specific set of observation. And then the other type of statistic is called inferential statistic. So what does inferential statistic do? It generalizing from the sample to the population. That allows you to test the hypothesis or assess whether your data is generalizable to the broad population or not. So that's it for today. That's the introduction of statistic. So next time we will talk about more random sample and how to read the data. So I'll see you next time. Let me know if you have any questions.